Humans do some really interesting things. Like, besides killing our humans do some really interesting things. Like, humans do some really interesting things. Like, besides killing ourselves, we also kill each other. Humans do some really interesting things. Like, besides killing ourselves, we also kill each other. Murder. And we're the only ones who do that, by the way. We're the only species on Earth that deliberately kills members of our own species for personal gain. Or pleasure. Sometimes it's just fun. We're also the only species that deliberately kills members of another species for personal gain. Or pleasure. That's what hunters do. They kill for pleasure. That's us. Human beings. Interesting folks. Murderers. Here's an interesting form of murder we come up with. Assassination. You know what's interesting about assassination? Well, not only does it change those popularity polls in a big fucking hurry, but it's also interesting to notice who it is we assassinate. Do you ever notice who it is? Stop to think of who it is we kill. It's always people who've told us to live together in harmony and try to love one another. Jesus, Gandhi, Lincoln, John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, John Lennon. They all said, try to live together peacefully. Bam! Right in the fucking head. Apparently, we're not ready for that. Yeah, that's difficult behavior for us. We're too busy sitting around trying to think up ways to kill each other. Here's one we came up with. It's efficient, too. Genocide, you know? Killing large numbers of people simply because they don't look like you, they don't talk like you, and they don't have the same kind of hats you do. You ever notice that anytime you see two groups of people who really hate each other, chances are good they're wearing different kind of hats. Keep an eye on that, it might be important. But anytime there's genocide, there are always mass graves. Right? Every time we kill some dictator and go march into his country, we always find mass graves. Thousands and thousands of dead bodies of people the dictator killed. And everybody over here gets horrified. Whoa, mass graves, whoa. Well, shit, what's a guy supposed to do with a couple thousand people he just killed? Dig separate holes? Fuck that shit. It's labor intensive. Get real. The whole idea of killing a large number of people at one time in one place is convenience, efficiency. Throw them in the fucking hole. Look at it this way. At least the dictator had the decency to throw a little dirt on them. Give the guy some credit. Dictator's a busy man. Got a lot on his mind. Like trying to figure out who's planning to kill him. So he can pick them up, put them in prison, and torture them. Here's another one of our interesting, heartwarming behaviors we came up with. Somewhere along the way, torturing each other. You want to hear a really cool torture that the Romans invented? They also used it as a form of capital punishment. It's really creative. They would take the guy in question, stuff him in a burlap sack, seal the sack up real tight, and throw it in the river. But here's the creative part. Inside the sack, with the guy, they would put a dog, a monkey, and a snake. Okay? A dog, a monkey, and a snake. That's fucking creative. Imagine being inside a burlap sack, underwater in the dark, sitting next to a drowning monkey. Think he'd be moving around a little bit? The dog would be going ape shit, we know that. And the snake, well, he'd probably be getting curious about what all the activity was inside the sack. He might do anything. Whatever he did, it would probably involve venom and his teeth. You know what you'd be doing? You'd be praying to God that the snake bit the monkey and the dog ate the snake. Praying. Yeah, then it would be just you and the dog. Man and his best friend. Drowning together. Maybe before you died, you could teach him a few tricks. Roll over and play dead wouldn't be too difficult, would it? Just a thought, just a playful thought. By the way, I assume you're noticing that all these activities I'm mentioning, murder, torture, genocide, these are all things human beings do. Not animals, those creatures we feel superior to. This is us. Here's another one of our spiritually uplifting activities. We don't do this one much anymore, but it used to be really big. Human sacrifice. I miss that. The Aztecs loved human sacrifice, and they were good at it. Well, they got a lot of practice. For instance, right around the year 1500, the Aztecs sacrificed 80,000 people in one ceremony. Okay? 80,000 people, one ceremony. You know what the occasion was? They were opening a new temple. Nothing like religion for a little entertainment, huh? Especially that old-time religion. Know how the Aztecs went about their sacrificing? Here's how they did it. They would do it right out in public, right in front of everybody, big town, beautiful city square, 20, 30,000 people looking on. They would take the guy, lay him on an altar, cut his chest open, pull his heart out, and hold it up in the air while it was still beating. Got that? Cut his chest open, pull his heart out, and hold it up in the air while it was still beating. You know what you call that? Theater. That is fucking theater. And although the procedure may have been a little too crude to be considered the first bypass surgery, it could easily be seen as an early form of organ donor program. The Aztecs, human beings, just like us. Not too long ago, 500 years, Columbus had already landed. This is just south of here, Mexico. And by the way, those hearts didn't go to waste. Did not go to waste. Because right after the ceremony, the royal family, naturally, would enjoy another one of our amusing activities, cannibalism. Imagine that, chowing down on another human being. You gotta be all out of beef jerky, man. You gotta be really fucking hungry. But it happens, doesn't it? It still happens to this day. A bunch of people stranded in the wilderness, run out of Pop-Tarts, gotta eat something. Might as well be Steve. And how do you decide who to eat first? How do you decide who's first on the barbecue rack? Do you pick on the little guy because he's skinny and he can't fight back? Or do you all gang up on the bodybuilder because he got a lot of steaks and chops on him? These are things human beings have to consider. One more of these charming diversions of ours. Necrophilia. Huh? Now there's a hobby for you. Fucking a corpse. Takes a special kind of guy, don't you think? But it happens. More than you might think. It happens among humans. Animals don't do that. Animals don't fuck their dead. A rat will do a lot of gross things, but he will not fuck a dead rat. It wouldn't even occur to him. Only a human being would think to fuck someone who just died. We gotta be the most interesting critters on the planet. And then we wonder why a UFO doesn't just land and say hello.
It's to my total pleasure that these things have worked out. As mentioned earlier, we've been going through a few different dynamic changes within the organization itself. As director and senior fellow at the Brookings Institute, I can assure you, my compatriots here, that everything that you've seen here so far is just the beginning. So I'd like... We talk about design often. At some point during any human's lifetime, they will use the word design, and that's a big deal. Aside from the and the a and the an in various languages, design is the fourth most popular word used. Before design was constructed, we had the Mesopotamian era, and we all know how that was. But this is as an ethnomusicologist, I've seen it all, you know, as they say. I've seen as much as I've seen. And so I've been collecting various tunes, if you will, throughout the epochs and eras. And the thing that I've landed upon this evening, I want to share for you, this is a Lemurian song. This is a civilization before the kingdoms, you know, and they contain advanced technologies we've been discussing earlier. They had the ability to levitate and decrease the volume and mass of objects at will, utilizing sequenced thought processes which entail very detailed memorization and visualization. Okay, so here's that song. Thank you all for coming here. PopTech is without a doubt, and it has been that way for long enough to be here. And what I've learned through PopTech is innumerable, immeasurable, inconsistent, constant, evading, ineffable, incongruous, malfeasant, illengadenyor, izatur ofotanar achten en udurbe, minjam doroju vadalakadar bastitromegaljelovach, ich angschluch achte flüm, achte finde, achte schöne ich liebe dich, ich floben, designen, kran, konsonan chan, 是手套是在至少 no 手发起是草草，他寻实在的是啥啥啥，Mozan, Flozangi, and fun. Okay, let's do this. In the unity of the Holy Spirit. No, just kidding. All right, here we go. And here we go. Take a move around the road, what you going down, baby? It's 1965, you ain't got your stereo on, and I don't know if I can take another light on my own. You put your ding down, hopping and you flipping it bad, and you ain't got another switch, so you just feeling so sad, and you can tell another person that she's evanescence on your growth. And you can do what you do when you're doing it good, but you can do what you didn't when you did it last week, 'cause next week's another week, and if I have to remind you, then you don't understand the basic concept of time yet. And if you wanna do what you can, then that's up to you, because you know that you're limited by a plan that you've been looking on and breaking your flags, and you put it the meaning in your mud flaps flapping in the wind. Tell me, I think that this world is a world, but it's not, 'cause it's more than you think, and it's less than that, and we're only living in the memories of our future selves, and it's fun to think like we're here right now, but we never really are, 'cause we're somewhere in the future controlling the options, giving lots of hints to ourselves in order for us to understand the choice is still important in a world where you gotta figure some stuff out. Yeah, baby, I love you. I love you, baby. Baby, we heard enough of that in the 90s. Okay, listen, I want to talk to you about a couple relatively real issues. A lot of people wrote in on email and a couple other forms of communication that essentially are all the same thing, but just branded different names. That innovation is an innovation unto itself. At one point, innovation didn't exist. Someone had to create some kind of a word that created the feeling that it feels like to hear the word that we hear when we hear innovation. Innovation is a word that's only been around in the English vocabulary for 63 years. A lot of people don't know that, and if you did know that, that's great. Now, we all know that poverty is super easy to fix, and using modular dynamicism, we can recreate, unfold, resequence, understand, and reshape the way we think of thought itself. By constantly monitoring thought itself, it will not only lead you nowhere, it will give you a headache. So try not to do that. Instead, try to do something that's way outside of the box. Like some place that if you were to see how far away from the box you were, you wouldn't even be able to tell what that box was anymore compared to the landscape that you're comparing it against. Getting outside of the box is more than just getting out of a box and walking away. As children know, sometimes boxes are very difficult to get out of. Why is it any different for us? Between glass ceilings, dirt floors, and boxes, we need to know that a bottom-up approach is not only an approach that starts from somewhere that we believe to be the bottom, but an approach that was painted by several painters throughout the ages and the Echach that led us to understand where can we be sometime in the future from now. And I can guarantee you, you will move at least 20 feet within the next hour. I can guarantee you that, and I have algorithms that can divine and predict that, utilizing movement prediction patterns, hair follicle samples that have been taken throughout the entire time that you've been here. And of course, the common spectral analysis. Now, we know that everything here is an illusion and that we are somewhere else. But the cool thing about that is it feels pretty real. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty convincing. So, big credit to those people working hard there. So, why Camden, Maine? Simple answer. Because. What does because mean? Because has a B in it, at least one C, and a couple vowels. This combination of letters and vowels together to create a fairly pronounceable word gives us the strength and the power as individuals and as human beings to seek within ourselves not only the triumphant remorse of those who have compelled against us in a way that does not necessarily benefit us in the long term, but give us the strength in the midterm to show how the reversal of those roles of which we have come fairly accustomed to, let's admit that, to acquiesce and reform and remodulate the world around us. Internally, we're pretty gross. There's a lot of liquid and tissues and things, and it's pretty gross to think about. So I would like to, this is a song that I'd like to dedicate to all the gross things that we are walking around. And also just a celebration of all of you guys here, the people up there as well. Let's not forget them. There's some people behind the walls as well, walking around and doing things as well. And there's some people behind here. There's actually 4 people running this entire show, technically. That's it. There's just 4 people. They can divide into 5 people per person. So there seems to be a lot of people back there, but they're all being controlled by one central consciousness. Okay, so anyways, without further ado, this is a song. This is my I have 1.5 songs. This song is okay. That's not it. That's just a warm up. Here we go.
Wanna take you down, guys. I'm just gonna become a salam. Pretty much only big on my top of the Saddam. Alam, salinkum, salam. Barabas and became to my dance, salami. Corner, deep as I become a sublime. The bit under the town, if it's a home, baby, be down, so be born the bomb. As it became to the bomb.